I am Tito, Jeff Thitoff. Follow me on the X at @ThitHappens. Thanks so much for tuning in today. It's Saturday. I'm doing one on game day, which is usually I do the night before. Doing it on the game day today because it's night game. Hope you get a chance to check this out before the Wisconsin game. FanStream Sports, powered by DSP Media. Download the app, a free app, Android and Apple both, for FanStream Sports. I'm going to fix my head. It looks like it's off. Is that better? Let's try it this way. There we go. FanStream Sports app on Apple and Android, free on there. Also, go to FanStreamSports.com. Go to the Facebook page, FanStream Sports Facebook page, and interact with some of the other hosts if you want to, other fans. Go check all of that out. Lots of great content on FanStream Sports on the app. So, round-the-clock programming you can check out from all over the country. Many different teams and cities and conferences and sports, all these things. But go check that out. Okay. Ohio. By the way, I'm not going to ignore the allegations about Michigan sign stealing. I'm going to talk about that on a later podcast. I want to focus more on Big Ten football today, what's going on the field. Buckeyes have Wisconsin on the road. I'll get to that in a moment. Ohio State, a couple of other notes on them, though. They picked up Eli Lee, a linebacker, a 3-star out of Akron-Hoban here in Ohio. And he's really, I think he could be a 4-star by the time he gets here. He's class of 2025. He's the 4th commitment in the 2025 class. I like him a lot. He committed a couple of days ago to Ohio State and cited again, the like a lot of these defenders do about their conversation with Jim Knowles and James Laurinaitis, Laurinaitis has been great for Ohio State recruiting. You know that. He did well at Notre Dame, and coming back home now is also big. Let's see. Kickoff time for Ohio State. Rutgers is noon on November 4th in New Jersey. Road game for Ohio State. Obviously, Rutgers has Greg Schiano, another former Ohio State assistant coach, who's got a head coaching job now, and that's who Ohio State's going to face on November 4th. Again, it's a noon kickoff in New Jersey. Ohio State knocked off Penn State rather easily. I thought it was. And Penn State, they scored that last touchdown, which was really meaningless, but it would have looked a lot better for Ohio State. It held them, to no touchdowns in that game. But Ohio State gets the win, big win for them. And I've come up with this analogy now, I think, for James Franklin. And James Franklin has not done well against Ohio State and Michigan, does well against everybody else in the Big Ten. So when Ohio State, and I love this guy, okay, so this is not a knock on the guy I'm going to compare him to. I love Earl Bruce. He got run out of town for going 9-3 every year. And he did have success against Michigan, but he went 9-3 every year, never really had a team that could compete for a championship. The best bowl win he had would have been the one against Texas A&M in the Cotton Bowl, but never could compete for a national championship. He was consistent. 9-3, had the highest winning percentage of the Big Ten at the time he was at Ohio State before he got let go. James Franklin's kind of like that. It seems like Penn State's ceiling is always going to be 10 wins, New Year's Six bowl game, and they're not going to compete for a national championship. That's just the way it looks with what they've done so far, what they continue to do in Happy Valley. Now, the Big Ten is going to change dramatically, obviously, next year when you have USC coming in and UCLA and Washington and Oregon coming in. It's going to change dramatically as far as the no divisions and all those kinds of things. So things could change. But right now, as far as his career at Penn State, I've got James Franklin in the same class as Earl Bruce. They're one and the same for me. All right. By the way, Wisconsin leads the Big Ten West. And there's been all this talk about the Big Ten West, the defenses over there, Iowa's defense especially. Let me tell you this. Wisconsin's the only team in the Big Ten West that has scored more points than it's allowed. The only team in the Big Ten West to score more points than it's allowed in Big Ten play. Now, in overall play, if you're going to change dramatically, no. Only one other team in the Big Ten West, if you look at just all the games, have scored more points than they allowed, and that's Iowa. The Big Ten West is 1-9 against teams in the AP poll, and that one win was Minnesota over Iowa, West over a West team. So that was the one win for a Big Ten West team against teams in the AP poll. And everyone talks about this Iowa defense, right? How great Iowa's defense is, how elite it is. Okay, Iowa's allowed 116 points this season. That's a good number, 116, right? Ohio State and Michigan have given up 117 points combined overall this year. Rutgers has only allowed 10 more points than Iowa this year. Rutgers sit there at 126 going in today. So Iowa's defense gets all this press and all this praise. Ohio State, Michigan, and Rutgers. Ohio State, Michigan definitely better. Rutgers are very close to Iowa as far as points allowed goes. All right, let's go on to the game now. Ohio State's in Wisconsin tonight, 7:30 kick Eastern time on NBC. By the way, people are freaking out because it's being marketed as being on Peacock. It's on NBC and Peacock. They're trying to get you to subscribe to Peacock because you're going to freak out that the game's not on. It's on NBC. Little familiarity with a couple of coaches on the coaching staff at Wisconsin. Defensive coordinator Mike Tressel, he's Jim Tressel's nephew. He was a grad assistant for Ohio State during the 02-03, the championship run they had out there. And then, of course, you've got Luke Fickell, the head coach at Wisconsin, did a season as an interim coach here at Ohio State. One of the more popular Buckeye players in his time here, local kid out of Columbus, and part of that Silver Bowl's defense that got going for Ohio State. And he's been praised all week as what a great leader he was, what a great teammate he was. He ended up taking a Cincinnati job and then the Wisconsin job. So Fickell, though, is a beloved figure in Columbus. The people I have not heard one negative thing about him. Former opponents have come out and said things. As a matter of fact, there was a Anthony Gwynn who played for Brookhaven High School, and in his high school career, the only 4 games that they were 0-4 against DeSales and Luke Fickell, and he's able to put out great things about Fickell, great teammate, great personal things, despite going 0-4 against him in high school. And it was a bit of rivalry. The schools were, right across the street from each other. Anyway, so a couple things for Ohio State. We're looking at the health of several players, Travion Henderson, Emeka Egbuka, and Denzel Burke. Now, early in the week, head coach Ryan Day said Travion Henderson's full go for Wisconsin. That's great news if he can go. Ohio State's running game is going to need to do well in this game. And I'm not saying that Henderson's going to come in and give them a huge spark, but he certainly will give them a spark, I would think, if he can play and if he's healthy. Emeka Egbuka is still questionable as of today before the game. We haven't heard word if he's going to play or not. Ryan Day was optimistic he would be available. We're not sure yet on that one. Denzel Burke's an important one also if he gets in. He Ryan Day said all 3 of them, he's optimistic all 3 of them will be available. He said that in his press conference on Tuesday. Now let's talk about the Badgers. Braylon Allen is their big stud running back, like Wisconsin always has. They always have a stud running back that you have to worry about. He leads the Big Ten in rushing. And Ohio State is second in the nation in pass defense, 3rd in scoring, and 5th in total defense, and they stop the run very well. The Braylon Allen thing will be the key for this one for Wisconsin. And as long as Ohio State can hold him to not having a Tim Biakabatuka type game or something like that where he comes out and runs all over the team, a Kajana Carter type game, as long as they can hold him in check, I think Ohio State's going to win this game rather easily. Tanner Mordecai, by the way, one of the player, Ches Malusi, a running back for Wisconsin who's averaging about 6 yards a carry. He is now out for the year. So Allen's going to be the main focus, the main guy. He's going to get a ton of carries for Wisconsin in this game tonight against Ohio State. Tanner Mordecai, the transfer in, who came over from SMU and was playing fairly well for Wisconsin. He is out again. And because of that, Braden Locke is going to be the starting quarterback in this game for the 2nd week in a row. And in 2 games, he's appeared twice since Mordecai got hurt, and he is 36 of 71 for 362 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Not a threat to run because he's got 6 carries for -3 yards in his time. So he's a freshman transfer, but he's a freshman quarterback, 6 feet tall, about 200 pounds, and he's going to have a hard time with this Ohio State pressure. I think the Ohio State defensive line and their defense overall is going to really keep Wisconsin in check. If Ohio State can jump out to a lead and force Locke to have to throw the ball, even better for Ohio State, and it adds to mistakes, adds to more pressures. This Ohio State team, this defense is what's carrying them. As I told you, where they're at their 5th in the nation in total defense. It's a phenomenal thing to watch. They are fun to watch, and they help the offense by giving plus field position to the offense many times, either based on turnovers or based on just pinning teams back and not letting them get many first downs or sustained drives. So the key for Ohio State on offense is going to be the offensive line. If they can produce and get the running game going, there's a couple of guys that are from Ohio that are on the defensive line for Wisconsin. One of them is Rodis Johnson. He was a 4-star recruit. He came from DeSales also, where Fickell played high school ball. He had 6 tackles against Illinois last week. And you also have James Thompson Jr. He's from Cincinnati, where obviously Fickell as well was the head coach before, and he's got 3 sacks so far to lead the way for them. But so Ohio State offensive line against that defensive line, that's going to be key. The Buckeyes need to make sure McCord is comfortable back there and has time to throw to find Marvin Harrison and whatever stud receivers happen to be playing for Ohio State today. We'll see about Igbuka, like I said. But that's going to be a big-time key in this game, is in the trenches again, which it usually is in the Big Ten. That's usually the keys right there. And Ohio State, if Wisconsin tries to puts all their efforts towards shutting down Marvin Harrison Jr., you're going to have other guys open elsewhere that McCord's going to have to find. It's another big game for McCord, another test for McCord, another chance for him to show how he can play in a big game. What I don't want to see, and it seems like it's happened every game with McCord, that first play, they do that bubble screen, and he throws it short into the ground and doesn't do anything. I want to see McCord get off to a good start, a fast start. And I think this game, now it's a 14.5-point spread, which is a lot of points to give Wisconsin at home in a night game especially. I've been there for a night game. It is an incredible environment, and it's tough for a visiting team. I believe, though, Ohio State covers this spread. I don't think Wisconsin gets more than 10 points, so I think Ohio State wins this one easily. We'll talk again. There's so much basketball going on we got to talk about Ohio State. I want to dive deeper into the sign-stealing stuff. I interviewed somebody earlier this week that I want to share some of that with you as well, who's tied into knows the Michigan program very, very well, has written a few books about it also. So we'll do all that later on. Download the app, FanStream Sports app, free on Apple, free on Android. Go to fanstreamsports.com, listen, subscribe to this, share it. I would appreciate that. Thanks so much for tuning in. This has been the Buckeye Show, Buckeye Daily Blitz, I should say, on FanStream Sports.